Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the AppSecCon 2023. So in this workshop, we are going to talk about improving technology in the app security program. Okay. My name is Charan Akiri, and I'm currently working at Reddit as a security engineer, and I have around some 12 plus years of experience in security and the development. And previously, I worked in several Fortune 100 companies working and improving their security programs, especially in the AppSec and the CloudSec. Now I'm going to hand over to Mohit. He is going to introduce himself.
Hey, thanks, Charan. Hey, I'm Mohit Kalra, and I'm the VP and Head of Security at Typeface. We're a generative AI company. Similar to Charan, I have past experience in big companies and small companies. I've worked at Adobe, Sprinklr, IBM, and I've have extensive experience in product security, both AppSec as well as cloud security. So today, Charan and I will walk you through the technology section of the S3M2 framework. And let me first open and kind of give you an idea of the agenda that we have lined up today. And then we'll kind of walk through, the details of the framework and the maturity model that we have. So first, we'll kind of give you a brief recap of S3M2, what is the scalable software security maturity model. And then once we do that, once we have established that, we'll kind of talk about a few challenges that you will see in the technology area. And by technology, Charan will cover the tooling part, I'll cover the secure design. And then we will go through the maturity model itself, where we will walk you through the various, parts of the maturity model. How do you assess yourself? What is the way to graduate from that level to the next? And allow you to calibrate on that specific section of technology so that you can, you can kind of help improve your security program and take it to the next level. So just to give you a recap, S3M2 or the scalable software security maturity model is, our way of capturing the essence of security expertise we have in the leadership community and distilling it down to a deliverable that the community can use to their benefit. You can take it back to your companies and you can kind of use it in order to, find out where exactly in the maturity model are you, and then use that as a stepping stone to move to the next so that you can kind of be in a continuous improvement program for your security capabilities. As I said previously, Charan and I are more focused on the technology aspects of it. If you have been here for the previous workshop, we have already covered people and process, and they are related to what we're about to talk here. But if you just stepped into the room and you had not covered the previous workshop, while we encourage you to absolutely attend them, you can independently be in this workshop and make complete sense out of it. So, to again, if you've seen this, I'll just cover this briefly. So we have 5 levels of maturity in our maturity model. And, they are from, reactive or being very naive in how you handle a certain dimension, all the way to being completely optimized and completely on top of your capability. This independently won't make much sense, but Charan and I will walk you through all levels with respect to the technology dimension. Also, if you see this, diagram over here, you will notice that that this S3M2 model is a very multi-dimensional model. The dimensions are, people and process that have been covered in other workshops, and technology is the workshop that you're attending right now. On the other axis, you will see that we will talk about various levels. And the way you would use this workshop is you will, be able to put a finger on where exactly are you, and then be able to see what is the next step without overwhelming yourself, without, taking, without kind of, trying to do all of the things at the same time or boil the ocean. So this will give you a very methodical, step-by-step way of assessing yourself as well as moving to the next level without wanting to do everything at the same time. So that's where we are. Now, as we kind of go forward, I'll hand off to Charan to talk about the challenges and walk you through the tooling side of the model. Charan, back to you.
Yeah, Thank you very much, Mohit. Thank you for the great introduction about S3M2 and different levels and about the technology one. So before dive deeping into the technology challenges, as the previous workshop, we have three different dimensions: process, people, and technology. Under the technology, we have two subsections. Okay, one is tools, and another one is secure design. So now I'm going to talk about both tools and secure design challenges. Like, for example, if you want to, onboard some tool, what are the challenges are you going to face? Otherwise, you want to start some thread modeling. What are the different challenges are you going to face when you want to introduce in your company? Okay, so some of the main challenges with the tools are over number of security tools. For example, you want to maybe onboard some SCA tool or SaaS tool. There will be minimum 25 to 30 number of tools are there, and it's very hard to find out which tool works for your company's environment. I think that's one of the important aspect. Tools always faces. Another problem is that all these tools don't have a proper way of normalizing and prioritizing. For example, if you run an SCA tool or SaaS tool, both will produce these results in a different way with a different severity. So it's very hard for a security engineer, otherwise automatic risk management system, to process them and prioritize them and giving back to the development team. Another major problem, I'm sure, all the AppSec engineer and CloudSec engineers face this problem, is the false positive rates. For example, if you run any kind of SCA tool or SaaS tool or DAST tool, one of the main problem is that the number of false positives that tool is generating. As a security engineer, you need to go through those false positives, try to minimize it. Then only you need to give it back to your development team. Otherwise, they are definitely going to hate this particular tool. So that is the reason high frequency is one of the main challenge. And another one is a limited tool set. So for example, if you're running some kind of an old technology, or if you're running a new technology, a lot of these security tools need to catch up, until these tools are matured. Otherwise, if you're running some Kubernetes or something like that, some of these existing security tools may not compatible or may not work with your specific type of environment. And another major problem is standardization of metrics. These different tools produce different type of results and different severities. So when you want to ask your developer to fix them, or when you want to present these things to the management, that's where you will face a lot of challenges on how to formalize these different findings and how to create a common metrics, so that the management or dev managers can understand these tools and can focus upon working them. And the last tool challenge is that convincing dev team to fix these actionable tickets, because a lot of the times development team is already working upon their own tickets, and again asking them to work upon these tickets is another major challenge. That's where you need to improve your process, so that you can work upon and you can convince development teams and dev managers to fix these critical vulnerabilities. Next, I'm going to, this is mainly about a secure design. So secure design, indirectly points to thread modeling. For example, you want to introduce a thread modeling to your company. There are several number of thread modeling methodologies out there, Stride or Pasta. It's very hard to figure out which methodology is going to work in your company, in your company's environment. That's where you need to do a lot of understanding and a lot of experimentation to find out which tool works for you. And another thing is that a lot of these tools don't have any kind of a proper structure and process around when we are applying these tools at the thread modeling exercise. Sometimes people try to apply these thread modeling at the critical system level, or maybe at the high priority projects only, not for everything. and there won't be a process also. Like, for example, sometimes they will do documentation or writing some simple document files, or sometimes a matured company maybe try to follow some kind of a tools like thread dragon kind of tools. Like, that's where, like, a lot of companies misses, okay, what is the best way to note down these different process and how to formalize among these different projects. And another main challenge was, technology is changing very rapidly, especially after the cloud was introduced. A lot of these thread modeling tools need to catch up on that. And plus, in your companies also, you have a lot of customization around these specific technology. So that's where we need to maybe modify these specific thread modeling exercises, or modify so that you can actually apply these specific thread modeling methodologies on your company's environment. And like another thing also, like I previously mentioned, one of the main problem was a lot of the time companies or teams mainly focus upon, okay, what are the critical projects, and for those projects only they will try to apply these specific thread modeling exercise. I think that's where, like, when you are planning to improve your maturity model, you need to try to expand from critical to maybe high or high to medium level kind of projects too. And another last challenge with the secure design was, okay, a specific project went through the thread modeling, and how to convince or how to produce these actionable outputs from the thread modeling exercise, and how to convince the dev team or dev team managers to, okay, we need to fix them before they're actually going to the production. I think these are the main challenges, like, the tools section or secure design section. These are the main challenges either companies or security engineers generally faces. Okay. So before going to the before going to the technology tools level, maybe let's briefly talk about, okay, how can we apply this specific model into your company? Like, see, me and Mohit will go through these, like, both tool section and secure design. For example, if your company lands either at level 1 or level 2, don't be afraid, because all about these different levels are try to understand about which level your company stands, and how to actually improve in the current level, and how to target to the next level. I think that is the main aim of this particular, like, different levels. And don't be discourage yourself, like, for example, if you're at level 2 or level 1, because in this way you can actually learn about which level you are at, and try to, like, improve at the current level and try to mature for the next level. Okay, so in this section, I'm going to mainly discuss about different levels in the tools section. So, for example, if your company at the level 1, which is mainly a reactive plus the ad hoc nature. So here companies mainly use the open source or non-enterprise tools. Means you won't get a full functionality, like, okay, creating the Jira tickets out of that. And maybe in this level, the company uses, like, important tools like SCA and SAST only. They won't go for, like, other tools like DAST or pen testing kind of tools. Plus, all of these tools mostly not integrated into CI/CD level, so there won't be any kind of a testing regimen. Maybe, for example, if an audit is happening, otherwise maybe going for some kind of a cyber security, and they want to get any kind of visibility at that time only. Generally, security engineers or, like, maybe some kind of a security analyst, they will try to run these tools and try to get some kind of a basic visibility out of that. And coming to the maybe a somewhat more matured, it was in the level 2 called, like, proactive level. In this level, companies, like, try to get the licenses of the important tools, like, SCA tools, SAS, pen testing, and secret detection. So in this level, companies have a very good visibility on the outputs of these specific tools. Plus, companies also try to use common frameworks to harden their Windows machines or containers using the CSI hardening frameworks. And security teams also will try to ask development teams, instead of writing their own cryptography libraries or something like that, ask them to use some of the common well-tested frameworks Python JWT libraries or OSAP encoder tools. And a lot of these tools will have some kind of a cadence. Maybe sometimes the company will try to add them into CI/CD level, or maybe at the deployment stage. But they will have a very good repetitive cadence, and they will try to see what kind of metrics it was actually generating. And in this level also, companies will try to start cataloging their assets, APIs, or the number of URLs they have, all those things. They will try to start cataloging them and try to make sure that how to protect them. And the last point is that in this stage, both the security team and the development team may have a little bit friction, because our security team, our teams will start getting into the visibility, and teams will try to push them to, okay, can we fix these issues? So you may see a small friction, but otherwise in this proactive level, you mainly get a very good visibility from the tools, and you will try to run these specific tools with a cadence. In the level 3, it is actually a managed level. So here, not only proactively working, you'll also get you'll also get a full visibility from the tools, and try to do some kind of action on these different bugs. One of the main attributes is that our teams will try to adopt more number of tools and advanced tools like DAST, container scanning, and SBOM. And companies and teams will try to onboard these tools into CI/CD level, so that you can actually run whenever any kind of a new PR is opening, otherwise any kind of a new build is creating. And teams also will start thinking about, okay, we got the visibility, how to fix them, or how to fix these critical vulnerabilities, because as you know, it's very hard to fix all level of vulnerabilities. That's where teams will start thinking about, okay, how to use a risk management process to automatically take these output from these different tools and normalize it, and how to create these tickets. They'll start thinking about these tools and start creating the tickets and start assigning these tickets back to the development process. And as the person mentioned, these different tools have different outputs. So using the risk management process, or using some kind of a vulnerability process, teams will categorize the different tools output and try to normalize it, and try to apply it to the development teams are creating the metrics, and try to get those feedback from the development. And in this level, our team start using this infrastructure as a code and start deploying all the process using CI/CD to automatic deployments. So in this level, our team will start optimizing their process mainly, plus they will also start thinking about, okay, how to take these metrics and how to automatically apply, or start breaking the builds based upon these different level of severities. So in this level, teams will start enforcing the strict policy enforcements during the build time or the run time. So for example, you are trying to add a new vulnerable library, log4j or something like that, and you are trying to deploy that particular container. That's where teams will say that, okay, this is a vulnerable version, so we cannot deploy this particular thing. That's where all these automatic blocking the builds, automatic strict enforcement will happen. So in this level, our teams will start thinking about, okay, how to improve their maturity more. Not only using the standard tools like SAST or DAST, they will also start thinking about fuzzing for the APIs or API testing, or improving their observability. Our teams also start thinking about, okay, how to automatically fix these things. Sometimes they will start creating some kind of a customization rules. So for example, you may be running a public bug bounty program. There you will receive a lot of findings, right? So in this level, teams will try to take those findings from the bug bounty valid issues and try to write some kind of a linter rules or some kind of a SaaS tools, and making sure that these bugs are not repeating. So in this way, teams will start to not only think about the standard rule set from these default rules, they will also start thinking about writing their own custom rules. Plus, in this level, teams will start formalizing, okay, what kind of thread modeling are they going to follow and how to apply to all the projects. And team will create a full catalog on how to what kind of assets they have, and try to get a full visibility of the assets, and try to apply these different techniques like fuzzing and API testing are dashed into these different catalog of assets. And finally, in this level, teams will try to use this vulnerability management, or using this risk-based management approach, and try to actively trying to either fixing the bugs, otherwise try to create some kind of SLAs. Maybe for critical, it may be 5 days, based upon your company needs. They will create some kind of a SLA, and they will try to apply these SLAs to these different security vulnerabilities. And coming to the last stage, it's like a dynamic stage. In this level, companies not only optimizing the existing process, they will try to apply these automatic remediations. For example, in your server logs or somewhere, you are seeing that somebody is actively probing or trying to do some kind of a port scan, using the SOAR tools or some kind of an automatic remediations tool to block them. Otherwise, maybe change the WAF rule, or this kind of automatic remediation they will try to apply in the dynamic level. And another important point companies will try to follow was automatic policy enforcement. So for example, you have a Kubernetes cluster and you want to do you want to make sure that you cannot create some kind of a parts of Kubernetes clusters not following some rules. Here they will try to break those particular either clusters, and they will try to shut down those particular clusters. I think in this way they will try to do they will try to automatically apply your company policies and remediation policies. And the last point generally the companies will do was they will not only do these security tool testing at the development level, they will also try to introduce at your dev and IAT. Plus, they will also try to start using IDE level tools also, maybe for a SaaS tool or something like that. So in this way, they want to get a better exposure at the development stage instead of at the production level. So this is a very brief overview of different levels. Here you can see level 1 to level 5. But this is a very good summary page. If you want to take a screenshot and put it in front of your computer and try to get a more awareness regarding the tools. So we are actually doing a poll at the end of the one. So now I'm going to hand over to Mohit. He's going to talk about the thread modeling.
Perfect. Thank you, Charan. And for those who are in the audience, don't wait for questions towards the end. Start plugging them in. We're happy to take them on whenever we find the opportunity. Now, similar to what Charan did, I'll talk about a very similar model, but now instead of tooling, which was more of the the tooling capability that was allowing you to scale your security program. I'm kind of now going to talk about the human capital that you invest in a security capability, and that is the secure design or threat modeling, however you like to put it. And the objective is to kind of catch on issues as early as possible. But at the very early stages, in level 1 or a reactive mode, you really an organization will not really have very good secure design practices. What will drive threat modeling is going to be the questionnaires that are coming from customers, an incident that you might have dealt with, or something that has been, plugged into your hands because of the pen test that happened. So, and then the expertise is fairly limited. You can kind of count experts on your single hand, or maybe not even that. And then, of course, there is no structure to the entire process. So here, what you're lacking is, wide expertise, a process. Also, you might not be targeting, anything of value other than what is being asked. So it's kind of a very reactive process, and time is not on your side. But the good part about being here is that there is a realization that threat modeling and secure design is an important capability that you need to develop. By being here, this is, a good step, because there is a realization that, it's not just about running tools or running a pen test, but also inculcating secure design, which is part of the OWASP top 10 recommendations that have been recently published. So in this, as you kind of graduate from this level, in the previous one, you were very reactive in your approach. So now an element of proactiveness starts coming in. So you identify the critical systems so that you're kind of getting a hang of, the product. You would do that on your own, or take help from the engineering teams. At this point, most likely what happens is the organization will pull in the right engineers in the room, use a whiteboard, architectural diagram, whatever they can lay their hands on, and continue to do the secure design review. What happens over here is that whatever has been generated, photographs of whiteboards, wiki pages, etc., starts being called the threat model, and there is no standardized template. So if there are two people doing the threat model, their outcome is going to be slightly different between them. And again, security expertise is there, but it is not there to it is not there to scale to the entire organization, and you're kind of only targeting critical systems, because now that's the first thing you should be securing, and that's exactly where the right focus is. So if you see you're graduating from I'll start wherever the reactiveness of the situation drives me more into I will self-identify critical systems and start threat modeling and doing secure design reviews for them. As you graduate further, you will see that, you start to expand where you want to go. So you start not only targeting critical systems, but you also start absorbing the complexity of your entire product. So you start kind of navigating the breadth over there. Because you have done some critical system work, applications teams would know where to find you, like where to find whoever the expert of secure design in the company is. So they have some way of engaging with you, be it an email or be it a form that they fill up. And lastly, at this point, the company is aware that this is not just about, validating security or validating the design, but security requirements are an integral part of the review process as well. That is, we're as left as we can be, and security requirements and design both are incorporated into your organization. And at a minimum, as I said, the application teams know how to engage. So they now, at least for the critical design work, there's fairly good amount of expertise within the company. And that essentially, you will see that the company's graduating from no expertise to some expertise. So, sound expertise, but only targeting critical system. And it's not that, it's usually because of bandwidth limitations, and we'll see how do you spread that secure design love throughout the organization through training at the next level. So in the optimized, so it's very common to be at level 3 or level 4, but wherever your organization is, at least it allows you to measure where you are and where you need to go next. So at this stage, what happens is threat modeling trainings are conducted. So you don't want a handful of experts in the company, but you want the expertise to travel more broadly, either within the security team or within the engineering community as well. And because so many people are doing the work, we do want some level of standardization. So, this is the place where people will start publishing templates on how to capture the threat models, as well as subscribing to methodologies so that we're not all over the place. And if you remember in the technology challenges we were facing, that hey, there's so much happening at the same time, you'll see that over here we're starting to see some structure develop. And at this point, we're not recommending any methodology one over the other, but the point over here is that the company can easily converge if they take these step-by-step models of the maturity model that we're describing here. Security requirement becomes a gating function now. So that means that you really cannot ship a product without security requirements being factored in, either the security feature set missing from the product or the requirements not having gone through a security review. Now, because the security design capabilities and skills are within the company, you will see that the coverage has started to extend to a lot more teams, and you're not just limited to complex or critical systems only. And because there would be fairly new people in the company who are doing secure design, there would be people who would mentor as well as have some oversight in terms of the completeness of the threat model and the secure design, as well as the quality that has been produced as final artifacts. Also, these experts will also put together some tooling, some design patterns, some checklists, so that the less experienced people can start using these secure design references and start incorporating them without having to lean on a handful of people within the company. And the idea here is that, earlier secure design might be an independent activity, but now it starts finding, it's kind of, done alongside the architecture of the application. So instead of just developing the architecture of the application and then, pasting on top of it a secure design on it, there is some cohesiveness in terms of the overall design of the application will have security baked in very early in the stage, as opposed to retrofitted into it. And at this point, because the more threat models are happening, more people are experts, and more people are trying to standardize, this is a good time that you start archiving and documenting the models and storing them so that they can be a reference for future iterations. This is very helpful when you want to do the first threat model, but then you want to do incremental threat models as the product undergoes and evolves over time. And the last level is, the nirvana level, where by default, you have a secure, by default principle. You have defense in depth. The features that you offer to your customers already have got security turned on by default, and that's the right place to be at. You will not have like everybody at an expert level at this time. You will have people coming in, people gaining interest in security, and they will, there will be those the gurus in the company who essentially are the thought leaders. There will be practitioners who have graduated and learned, and they are helping the organization do the secure designs. And then there are learners who are the people who are coming in and are super interested in participating in this capability. And this is how the whole skill set of the company is diversified. At this time, you have stronger, reference architectures and design. What would have happened at this stage as well is, like, for example, maybe there's an identity solution that somebody has developed. Rather than everybody reinventing the wheel, such solutions are shared across the organization. So, many products might use the same identity solution that has been written by one team, and that allows security to scale up because not everybody has to reinvent the wheel. As training is ongoing, the security design education is spreading, you will also see that organically spreads the ability to threat model in the organization. If threat modeling were only done by a singular person or a single team, you will see that the scale is not possible. But at this point, you start to see that threat model is kind of done across the board by not just security, but by the engineering team as well. And instead of this, threat model and secure design being an isolated process which starts and finishes and results in some artifacts as well as some findings, you also start to question why something was not caught in the left side of the shift left equation, and why are things being caught in the pen test and the bug bounty. So that is an important part of the improvement program, where you're not just applying models or methodologies that have been documented, but you're also trying to see some live action on your application, and then trying to improve your threat modeling exercise on whether it's a quality issue, whether it's a coverage issue, whether it's a methodology issue, and you start measuring the efficacy of your secure design program and capability, rather than focus only on completing a process and then just leaving the artifacts for engineering to deal with. So this gives you like a very quick summary of the secure design capabilities that allow you to measure, hey, you could put a finger on where am I now, where do I want to go next, and how do I not overwhelm my entire company by trying to do everything at the same time. So this is kind of that step function that everybody looks for, rather than try to improve whatever hundreds of capabilities in one go. What you have on your screen, we will be providing that. And we will be publishing and making it available. So this is not the only opportunity that you will see for the secure design summary, but you will have various future workshops as well where this will be kind of projected. So with that, what we have done so far, we have, for those who came new, we introduced the S3M2 model yet again, spoke about our challenges, and then walked through the various levels of a tool maturity model in our S3M2, as well as our secure design maturity model. With that said, what we want to do is we want to bring up the poll at this time. So Jeremy, can you push the poll link out there for everybody? Now, what this poll is about to do is just collect information in an anonymous way. So there's no fear of knowing what you wrote for your company. It's just a kind of way of being able to see, hey, what do people in the audience think about it? It'll be super, super helpful if you just spent those 5 minutes in terms of going through it. Charan, do you want to, because I went through the design section, do you want to also recap quickly on the tool section, on if people have forgotten what the various levels were about and the highlights over there?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Mohit. So the tool section is like, we have these 5 levels of tool, right? Like, in the first level, the teams mainly use some kind of an open source tools, as simple as that, and they will run these tools in the ad hoc fashion. Maybe you need to run these tools for maybe for audit purpose only, but there won't be any kind of a cadence. I think that is the important points in the tools, and you will get very basic visibility from the tool in the level 1, and you never do some kind of an action around that. But coming to the next level, it's like a proactive level. In this level, teams will try to either company in this level, companies will try to use some kind of a an important a mandatory kind of tools like secret detection, SCA tools, and they will have a full visibility in the tools, and plus they will also try to focus upon how to normalize this data and how to fix them, maybe fixing the critical or something like that. So in this way, they will try to run these tools with some cadence, and they will try to perform some kind of an actions. It may not be 100% fruitful, but at least they will try to do some action. In the level 3, in the managed, you have a process around that. Most of these tools actually integrated at the CI/CD level, and you will also start not only integrate, you will also start thinking about how to take this tool output and how to process it and how to normalize it, and how can I start creating these tickets level, actually how to create the tickets and how to assign those tickets back to the development teams. Teams will start thinking about it. Plus teams also will think about how they created the process and try to work with the managers and directors, thinking about this tool output actually giving this output, and you need to fix it because of this particular reason. I think that's what the process will be defined, and they will start working with the management level. And in the level 4, there will be very strict policies. Here you actually improve your process, and you will now start optimizing that process. In this level, teams will start breaking the bills at the CI/CD level. For example, if somebody is trying to add a vulnerable package or something like that, you are going to break the bills. Or you are trying to use some kind of a bad container in your Docker image or something like that, you are going to break the bills. I think that is the very much important step here. And not only that, you also start collecting assets around that and try to apply important testing methodologies API fuzzing. And you will also try to do some kind of a risk-based approach. Instead of fixing from critical to low level, maybe you will actually focus upon your company level and try to start formalizing on how to fix these things based upon certain SLAs. And if you're at the final level, at the dynamic level, you mainly focus upon automatically remediating the current threats. For example, somebody trying to do some kind of a tooling, doing some hacking or something like that, you will automatically detect them because of all these different tooling and server logs, and try to remediate them. So this is a very brief overview, but don't worry that if you're at level 1 and level 2, because everybody will start from level 1 only. But try to think that, okay, how can I improve in the current level, and how can I plan for the next level? I think that is the main important of this workshop. Because as long as you know where you want to go, you can easily start creating different plans and thinking about how to go to that next level.
Perfect. So, and that's a great recap, Charan, on the tooling side. So, what the ask of everybody in the audience is, click the poll that is there in the chat. If you don't find the link, let us know. We're going to make sure you get it. And then what Charan described, there is going to be a question on just focus on tooling that allows you to assess the maturity, or at least declare the maturity in an anonymous fashion to all of us, so nobody gets to know which company you work for or which company are you claiming that level to be for. And the second one is on the secure design, and to give a very whirlwind recap of the secure design. There is kind of just no method or structure. You're just doing whatever comes your way. Then you move to critical systems. Then you move to critical and complex systems and start maturing your process. And then you realize that, hey, me as a security team cannot scale up. Let's kind of spread the love. Let's train people. Let's in level 4, and you start kind of increasing coverage, but also the expertise within the company. And then level 5 is the nirvana state where things are happening the way they should. But reaching that state, of course, is a challenge for all of us, and that's kind of the that's where all of us try to strive towards. So just try to put a finger on where you are, put that response in the poll. There are also free flow questions out there, so would love to get your feedback, because as security is a community not limited to the speakers but also the audience, and we collectively would like to gather some insights as well as take some steps forward.
Yeah, please try to take that anonymous survey, because that is very, very important for us, so that we can actually improve upon this specific model. And another thing is that try to take this model. Maybe you can pick up maybe 1 or 2 dimensions, or you can actually pick up the whole thing and try to see that which level are you at, and try to apply it in your company. I think that's where you'll actually understand which stage we are at, and we can start thinking about, okay, how to go to that next level. Or maybe you can show this guide as a reference when you are asking for budget or headcount. I think that is the main objective of these different levels.
Right. So on request from Sean, we brought in view the tooling slide, and the secure design slide was up for quite some time. Whoever has a request to view any one slide, we're happy to change views for your convenience, because there's a lot of content on the slide, so it's fair for you to ask that. Jeremy or Raj, how are we doing on responses and time for the poll?
Time, you had time. Maybe we can give maybe another few minutes for people to do the response. If maybe Jeremy can get back.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm about to now in my screen able to see the response. So yeah, we see 4 responses so far. Highly encourage everybody to participate. I will give everybody some time and give 2 minutes on maybe the slide on tooling, and then I'll shift off to the design, a secure design part, so that people can recap in case they missed it. And for those who missed the poll, it's Jeremy very helpfully has posted it again. So click away and feel free to give your anonymous inputs to us. Okay, for those who are tuning into the silence right now, we're just giving time for people to complete the poll. And as that happens, we'll provide a brief summary of what insights we got live out of the workshop and further steps that will keep the community engaged on this exact topic that we're presenting. Okay, at this point, I'm going to move to the design slide. So for, the tooling slide has been up. So we'll kind of quickly go to the design summary and give again more time to the people to complete the polls. And again, thank you for everyone who did go ahead and click and went through the responses, provided the responses.
I will definitely encourage to do the poll one, because it definitely encourages us and motivates us to improve upon this specific model and try to do more workshops in the different cities we are actually planning to do. So please take the survey and just fill it up. And one more thing, it's completely anonymous, so it doesn't matter. So please try to go there and try to provide your valued responses.
We're getting good feedback from everybody, so thank you. Let's give it another minute, Charan, if that sounds okay to you.
Yeah. We have 12 more minutes, so we can definitely wait for a few minutes.
Yeah, and if anyone had comments or questions, feel free to ask. Yeah. All right, let's give the last 35 seconds, and then we'll close the polls. We'll briefly discuss the responses we got. And Charan will take us home from there. Okay. So while we will summarize the poll so that we can engage in any questions that are coming up, you are still free to provide your inputs into the poll. The poll's not closed for you. You continue doing that, but we'll kind of open it up to discussion. So Charan, do you want to take us home on at least the tooling side? What are you observing? I can comment on the design side, and then we can conclude the slides at least.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is the tooling was we have a lot of number of tools. So when you want to start onboarding a tool, be mindful about your environment and what kind of technologies you are using. So try to do that evaluation carefully, so that and see that how can you put this tool into your overall security a posture of your company. I think that is the main important, because not only enabling the tool, try to see that how can you take those inputs from the tool and try to apply it into your company and try to start fixing them. I think that's where your process will start improving, and you will understand that, okay, what is the process will work in your company and in your company sector. I think that is very, very important.
So on the design side, what we're seeing is from the insights that have been shared. So half the people, 50% of the people are at the proactive side, that they're not, they are just dealing with the critical side of the threat models. And that's not surprising, because the lack of expertise and the lack of bandwidth are two driving factors why people get slotted into the proactive level 2. We do see some people, in the reactive sides, it's possible that the program is nascent or, you've just started with that. And we do see people in level 3 and level 4 as well. Nobody in level 5 so far. So 25% of people in level 3 and about 13% in level 4. So it's good to see that the attendees in this workshop, come from a very diverse, maturity of their secure design program. So that's good. And I'd highly encourage for those in the higher levels to share the tips and tricks, in this workshop or later with others, so that people can learn how to graduate from these various levels, and so that everybody can kind of strive to be at level 5. Otherwise, I think that's it on the polling side. Charan, tell me.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us home now?
Yeah, so finally I'm able to see my poll results. So out of these polls, around some 50% of the people are at level 2. So they are actually started using the tools, and they are trying to integrate into the CACD level, which is a good thing. And around some 37% of the people are actually at level 3, means they're actually running these tools in the CACD level and started trying to remediate them. So which is a very good sign. And 12% of the team, the responses are level 4. I think it's a very good sign, seeing that growth from from level 2 to level 3 and level 4. It's very good to see that level 4, people are trying to add these custom rules into their tool set and using some vulnerability process to fix them. Luckily, in the response, there is no level 1, so which is a very good sign. So people are taking security very seriously and try to use these tools and get a real benefit out of these tools, not only just running them. So that is a very good sign, and I'm happy to see these results.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's kind of wrap up the slides, Charan, and we'll give people an opportunity to ask questions if there are any.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So maybe the next slide. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for coming. Please try to apply these techniques, try to apply these different dimensions in your company. We are fully open source and open community, so you can definitely join into our meetings and try to provide your feedback. If you have some kind of a other methodology, where it can work, or what we are missing, please try to provide the feedback, and we love to get the feedback and try to improve this specific maturity model in the long term. And Mohit, in the poll, we have some responses, right? Do you want to discuss about the ones which are missing or something like that, or is it for our internal purpose?
Yeah, we can briefly mention. I think what people have said in the polls is that pros and cons of tools, maybe some discussion over there would help them. And then there's one comment on metrics reporting and correlation. Should be under technology as well. I think it's fair feedback. So I think the person saying that the metrics tie together the performance and the efficacy of the tooling. So I think that's a very good feedback that if provided, we'll factor that in as we evolve the maturity model. But as we moving away from the poll, I think if anyone has any questions or comments, this would be a good time. We have about 5 minutes remaining in this session, and after that, we'll move on to other exciting sessions as well. Jeremy has posted a very important link. So we're not stopping at this presentation. This is not the start and end of the maturity model. It's the start of a bigger journey. And what Jeremy has posted as a link, if you're keen on attending in-person workshops, we are going to be doing across the board. The link, if you click it and register your interest, that'll allow you to be part of the workshops that are coming up in the future. Perfect. I'll leave we don't have a link slide here, but I think the link that Jeremy has posted is the one that you should look at, the latest one. It's thepurplebook.club. S3M2. S3M2 is the name of the maturity model based on which we are giving this presentation. So if there are no further questions, let's give everybody a few minutes back. But super thanks to everybody who stayed throughout the session, provided the responses, and heard us through. And we hope that you'll take back this maturity model back to your companies.